bro, we going spot to spot, he got 100 bags. You ain't got the path to the zoo, I bet we beatin' tag. Laser on what we tryna tag a nigga, shit like laser tag. You ain't told me I was doing good, you little hating ass.
Move with pride, feds took the tape, now the world's all eyes. Mayor in the bando, caught in disguise.
We know that guy right there, right here, you know he was gang, feel me? You see the smile, the wraparound, you feel me? Even the light-skinned nigga right here, he got his head leaning on bro head, that's Sam, he's Sam, gang. Yeah, that's the mayor right there, he was doing his thing.
Mayor in the bando, caught in disguise.
The streets of Toronto have seen their fair share of gang violence, but few names have carried as much weight and controversy as the Dixon Bloods. Emerging from the high-rise apartments of Dixon Road, this ruthless crew built a criminal empire fueled by drug trafficking, gun violence, and deadly rivalries. Their reign of terror extended beyond the city's borders, reaching as far as Windsor and Edmonton, but what truly set them apart was their shocking connection to one of Toronto's most powerful figures.
Please welcome Mayor Rob Ford.
When a leaked video allegedly showed the mayor of Toronto smoking crack cocaine, the Dixon Bloods found themselves at the center of a political scandal that rocked the country. With law enforcement closing in, betrayals mounting, and gang members dropping one by one, the Dixon Bloods' empire came crumbling down. This is the story of their rise to power, their brutal street wars, and the fateful events that led to their downfall. The story of Toronto's notorious Dixon Bloods begins far from the high-rise apartment complexes of Dixon Road, in a war-torn country on the Horn of Africa. The gang's origins are deeply tied to the hardships faced by Somali refugees fleeing the brutal violence of the Somali Civil War. The war began in 1991 after the overthrow of the authoritarian regime of Syed Barre, plunging Somalia into a state of chaos as rival clan-based militias and warlords fought for control. The collapse of the central government led to widespread violence, famine, and a humanitarian crisis, displacing millions both within Somalia and across borders. The war left Somalia without a central government for over 2 decades, fostering a failed state plagued by clan rivalries.
He got the RPG in his hand, bro. Come on, bro. He coming to blow shit up. This how niggas is riding around looking for the ops? He got the that's the oh my god, your whole body vibrate with that John gang. Nah, this is deadly right here. This is tough.
Without a central government for over 2 decades, fostering a failed state plagued by clan rivalries and the rise of militant groups like Al-Shabaab. Tens of thousands of Somalis, including many young men, sought refuge in Canada, hoping to escape the conflict and rebuild their lives in a land of opportunity. But what they found was far different from the safety they had imagined. Somalia was the source of the second largest number of refugee claimants in Canada in the early 1990s. By 1991, there were 9,000 Somalis living in Canada, with the majority in Toronto, and by the end of 1993, a little over 13,000 Somalis became permanent residents. As these refugees arrived in Toronto, they were placed in neighborhoods like Kingsview Village. Many were crammed into these 6 high-rise buildings, now referred to as Dixon City or Little Somalia, where dreams of starting a new life quickly turned into struggles for survival. You see, while Canada offered a refuge from war, it didn't guarantee the promised land of prosperity. Somali Canadian families living in Dixon City faced systemic racism, economic hardship, and a lack of community support. For the youth, this new environment proved even more challenging. Torn between the traditional values of their parents and the harsh realities of growing up in a divided, underfunded city, many young Somali men felt disconnected from both their heritage and the wider Canadian society. Faced with discrimination in schools, limited job prospects, and a sense of alienation, they found themselves caught between 2 worlds, neither of which seemed to offer a future. With few positive outlets for their energy, many turned to the streets, where violence, crime, and gang culture became the only way to gain respect. As they searched for a sense of belonging in a world that often pushed them to the margins, the Dixon Bloods emerged. For years, Dixon had remained relatively quiet, Between 1990 and 2000, only a single murder was documented in the neighborhood, but that changed drastically with the rise of the Dixon Bloods. Inspired by the notorious Bloods of Los Angeles, they adopted their signature red colors, yet their motivations were deeply personal and shaped by their struggles in Canada. According to insiders, their decision to align with the Bloods wasn't just about identity, it was about retaliation. For decades, their neighborhood had been dominated by Crip-affiliated gangs, such as the Jamestown and Driftwood Crips. The Dixon Bloods wanted to shift the balance of power, and they weren't afraid to spill blood to do it. As they navigated the dangers of drug trafficking, gun violence, and turf wars, they became a symbol of survival in a city that had turned its back on them. Their rise to power would eventually bring them into the crosshairs of police and the media as their story intertwined with one of Toronto's most infamous political scandals.
The early morning raids came after several months of investigation. They took place in Toronto and Hamilton, as well as York, Durham, Halton, and Peel regions.
A complex criminal investigation focused on the Driftwood Crips, their associates, and other criminal participants.
A crackdown today on a major Toronto street gang known as the Jamestown Crips. Local police forces across Canada helped out as well, and the RCMP and the Border Agency were also involved in a case that stretches from Ontario but also to Manitoba and Newfoundland.
As gang-related shootings surged across Toronto, law enforcement ramped up their efforts to crack down on the escalating violence. Determined to disrupt the growing gang activity, police launched a series of large-scale operations aimed at dismantling criminal networks across the city. In 2005, their first major strike came against the Ardwick Bloods crew, leading to the arrest of 44 members and a staggering 1,000-plus criminal charges. The following year, in 2006, they stepped up their game with an operation that even had a flashy name, Project XXX. This time, the target was the Jamestown crew, a notorious Crip gang based in Rexdale, an area long considered a Crip stronghold. When the dust settled, 106 gang members were in cuffs, their operations severely crippled. But the police weren't done. They turned their attention next to the Driftwood Crips.
How many people they murdered?
Severely crippled. But the police weren't done. They turned their attention next to the Driftwood Crips, whose home base was in the North Jane and Finch area. Another massive takedown followed, leading to the arrests of 95 suspected gang members, including many of the Driftwood crew's original leaders. With every bust, Toronto's gang landscape shifted, yet one group remained strangely untouched, the Dixon City Bloods. Unlike their rivals, the Dixon Bloods managed to evade law enforcement's full attention for years. Their secret? Mobility. Rather than staying confined to one neighborhood, they moved between cities, adapting to new environments and avoiding long-term surveillance. Police were aware of them, but pinning them down proved difficult. That all changed in 2009.
That's pretty smart, because you don't know exactly what area to find them in, where to track them at. That's pretty smart. I like that one.
On a warm June night in 2009, a panicked 911 call sent police racing toward 340 Dixon Road. The caller's voice trembled as she described the scene. "The lobby is drenched in blood. Blood is everywhere," she told the dispatcher. When officers arrived, they found that the caller had actually understated the carnage. The polished stone floor of the lobby was soaked in deep red, and at the center of it all was Ayoub Aden. His wounds told a brutal story. He had been stabbed so many times that his stomach looked like a pincushion. Slumped against the lobby walls were two other teenagers, Abdiweli Abdullahi and Abdikadir Khan, both fighting to stay conscious. One had a deep slash across his arm, the other a gash in his back. They were lucky. They would live to tell the story, unlike Ayoub. For his family, the tragedy was unbearable. His mother had already lost a husband and another son to violence back in Somalia. Now on the other side of the world, in a country that was supposed to offer peace, she had to endure the pain of losing another child. But Aiden's death wasn't just another senseless act of violence. According to a confidential informant, his murder was the result of an internal power struggle within the Dixon Bloods. The gang was changing. The older generation, the ones who had built Dixon's street reputation, were growing tired of the life. Some had gotten married, others were planning to leave for Western Canada, hoping to escape the cycle of crime. Simply put, they wanted out. The younger generation, on the other hand, wanted more. Fueled by the fast money of the crack trade, the young bangers were thriving. They carried guns and lived by a code that left no room for weakness. They had no patience for the older generation who wanted to walk away from the game, because to them, quitting was betrayal. As a sign of their evolution,
So they
the
keep
younger
the
members
windows?
even dropped the Dixon Bloods name, rebranding themselves as the Double Up Gang, signaling their desire to carve out their own identity, one that was even more ruthless and less forgiving. And for 16-year-old Ayub, well, he had found himself caught between the two factions. Whether he was a direct target or just in the wrong place at the wrong time, one thing was clear: the streets of Dixon had officially turned into a battlefield, and the bloodshed was far from over.
Wait. What the fuck? Did his own people killed him? Wait, hold on. I gotta go back real quick. Did the OGs kill him or the young niggas killed him? He was what, deciding which one he wanted to go with? To double up, or he wanted to stay with Dixon? And he couldn't decide or some shit, so they slashed him up? Or am I tripping?
They carried guns and lived by a code that left no room for weakness. They had no patience for the older generation who wanted to walk away from the game, because to them, quitting was betrayal. As a sign of their evolution, the younger members even dropped the Dixon Bloods name, rebranding themselves as the Double Up Gang, signaling their desire to carve out their own identity, one that was even more ruthless and less forgiving. And for 16-year-old Ayub, well, he had found himself caught between the two factions. Whether he was a direct target or just in the wrong place at the wrong time, one thing was clear: the streets of Dixon had officially turned into a battlefield, and the bloodshed was far from over.
What the fuck?
In the years that followed Ayub Aiden's murder, the violence in Dixon only escalated. The neighborhood became a war zone, with bullets flying and bodies dropping as different factions battled for control. Police records paint a grim picture, with hundreds of pages detailing young men exchanging gunfire outside the Dixon high-rise buildings. Gunshot victims stumbled into emergency rooms with fresh wounds, some inflicted by enemies, others by their own crew. One such case involved officers sitting.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to figure out. Who's Dixon beefing with? Wait, what the fuck? Yo, gang, this is about to be tough. Like, it's about to be weird.
Gunshot victims stumbled into emergency rooms with fresh wounds, some inflicted by enemies, others by their own crew. One such case involved officers sitting at a red light, suddenly hearing up to 10 gunshots ringing through the air. Racing toward the sound, they found chaos in Dixon City. Witnesses described how a group of men had been hanging out beside a daycare facility when 3 unknown shooters approached, opened fire, and then fled in a getaway car. Among the targets that night were 2 well-known figures in Dixon: Anthony Smith, known on the streets as Rondo, and Libin Siad, nicknamed Gully. Police suspected that this was no random attack. Dixon's wars weren't just about rival neighborhoods anymore. The conflict was becoming increasingly personal. As the years wore on, the gunfire never stopped. Dixon had become a place where violence wasn't just a possibility anymore, it was an expectation. And for those caught up in the cycle, there were only 3 ways out: a desperate escape, prison, or death. Unfortunately for Abdikadir Khan, it was the latter. On March 20th, 2011, Khan, the other boy stabbed alongside Ayub Aiden, was executed. Khan was in the stairwell of a Dixon City high-rise when an unknown gunman put a 9mm slug in the back of his head. It was definitely an execution-style slaying. Since there was really no good reason for Khan to be in the stairwell, police suspect he was snatched from his apartment and then led at gunpoint to the stairwell, where he was executed. The implication was that whoever killed him was well known to Khan, someone he knew and trusted. The medical examiner guessed that Khan had laid in the stairwell for about 11 hours before anyone found him and called for an ambulance.
No one is
A
still
red
arrested.
jacket, not Khan's, was found at the execution scene, like a movie prop. Embroidered on the jacket was the phrase "Dead Men Tell No Tales," which was the title of a 1938 British thriller movie. As a result of Khan's murder, the owners of the Dixon City high-rises decided to hire private security guards to patrol and protect their buildings. That didn't last long. Within months, the guards were rarely seen. Most of the guards just didn't show up. According to them, it was too dangerous and they weren't getting paid enough to risk their lives in what they considered a war zone. And
Facts. I'm not dying for y'all niggas, feel me? Even if y'all was paying me enough, I'm still not fucking going out there. You fucking crazy? These niggas is shooting recklessly. They don't give a fuck about nobody. Nah, you take your ass out there and go out there and go arrest these niggas then.
were rarely seen. Most of the guards just didn't show up. According to them, it was too dangerous and they weren't getting paid enough to risk their lives in what they considered a war zone. And because of city ordinances, the police couldn't enter the high-rises unless they were called by the now non-existent security. If they did, they were guilty of trespass. It was a lose-lose situation, no private security guards and no police presence. By the beginning of 2012, the Dixon Bloods had solidified their control over drug distribution in Toronto. Their operations extended beyond the city, reaching Windsor and Edmonton, where they established drug supply lines. The gang primarily dealt in cocaine, crack, marijuana, and crystal meth, moving large quantities through a well-organized network of street dealers and traffickers. In addition to drug trafficking, the gang became heavily involved in gun smuggling. Most of the guns came into Canada from Michigan. Gun runners concealed the weapons in the bumpers of cars driven by Canadians residing in Ontario, traveling to the U.S., back into Canada. Attaching GPS trackers to the cars transporting the guns, the cars would be traced and the guns retrieved at a later date. The drivers of the cars had no idea they were ferrying guns into Canada. Once recovered, the guns arrived in Windsor, where they were transported to Toronto and later sold to the Dixon Bloods. In other words, there was a prodigious gun pipeline between Michigan and Toronto. This access to weapons made the Dixon Bloods particularly dangerous, as they frequently used violence to settle disputes and maintain control over their territory. Their rise in power inevitably led to violent clashes with rival gangs. These turf wars resulted in a string of shootings, murders, and retaliatory attacks, making Dixon City one of the most dangerous areas in Toronto.
Also at 5, it's a city that rarely sees this type.
So, yo, gang, y'all gotta put me on. So, the double up Dixon Bloods, they turning up, right? Because the old head said that they don't want no parts of this anymore. So it's the Crips and then the YNs, right? The double up.
Violence, and tonight we're learning new details about this weekend's deadly shooting rampage at the famous Eaton Center in Toronto.
Breaking news reports that 21 people, some of them children, have been shot in Toronto. At least 2 are being reported dead.
Not only unprecedented in Toronto, I've been a cop for 35 years, and this is the worst incident of gun violence in my memory anywhere in North America.
In Toronto, community leaders, along with that city's police force, are looking for answers after a spate of deadly shootings over the past 4 weeks. The youngest victim was just 9 years old, and that has many questioning what's behind the violence and where the guns are coming from.
See,
the summer of 2012.
That's when shit started triggering. Like when you start killing innocent people, especially kids. That's when the police start. Yeah, all right, let's do our job now. Because the young boys is wilding. Feel me? That's when. That's why you got to hit your target. Because once you hit the kids, it's over with. Y'all going down.
12 was one of the bloodiest in Toronto's history. A wave of gang violence gripped the city, leaving citizens on edge and authorities scrambling for solutions. First, there was the Eaton Center shooting, where a gunman opened fire in a crowded food court, sending terrified shoppers running for their lives. 7 people were shot in the carnage, leaving 2 dead. Then came Danzig Street, where what began as a lively block party in Scarborough turned into a war zone. A barrage of bullets tore through the crowd, leaving 2 bystanders dead and 23 others wounded. It was the worst mass shooting Toronto had ever seen. The violence wasn't just random, it was part of a larger pattern, one that had been quietly escalating for years. The Somali Canadian community, particularly those with ties to Dixon Road, had been bearing the brunt of the bloodshed. By 2012, the numbers were staggering. At least 50 young Somali Canadian men linked to Dixon had been killed, not just in Ontario, but as far as Alberta. Families were being torn apart, mothers were burying their sons, and the community was left pleading for action. Behind the scenes, law enforcement had already been piecing together the puzzle. They had amassed a staggering 3,000 pages of police affidavits, documents detailing years of criminal activity linked to the Dixon Bloods. These files contained intercepted phone calls, court-approved wiretaps, vehicle tracking data, and search warrant requests. The picture they painted was grim, a ruthless, well-organized gang with deep ties to Toronto's drug trade and a sprawling network that stretched across the country. It was time to act. In June 2012, police launched Project Traveler, a year-long, multi-agency operation designed to dismantle the Dixon Bloods. It was the most ambitious anti-gang operation Toronto had seen in years, but...
My fault, I didn't mean to cut it off, but I seen what Shada said. He said the Shmoney Gang. I heard that in a song. I thought that was GS9. I was like, how the fuck y'all get to Toronto? but I just bypassed it in one of the reactions. But okay, that's the Dixon. Okay.
Bloods. It was the most ambitious anti-gang operation Toronto had seen in years, but what the police didn't realize at the time was that Project Traveler wouldn't just take down a gang. It would unravel a political scandal, one that would shake the entire country to its core.
Imagine taking down a gang, you take down the mayor.
By late 2012, Toronto police's only goal in mind was to bring down the Dixon Bloods, but before they could move in with force, they needed information. The challenge wasn't finding informants, because at the end of the day, everyone had a price. Some wanted cash, others wanted their charges dropped, but the real issue wasn't quantity, it was credibility. Many so-called informants were master storytellers, fabricating whatever they thought the police wanted to hear. The cops needed real intelligence, not fairy tales. Eventually, they found 10 reliable informants. But even they weren't willing to testify in court. Nobody wanted to become a walking target. Still, the scraps of information they provided helped the cops zero in on key players within the gang. And then came the breakthrough. Towards the summer of 2012, police arrested an unnamed Dixon Bloods member on gun trafficking and possession charges. His name was never made public, leading many to speculate that he was a high-ranking member who decided to turn informant. Whether he was a snitch.
You know look how close they are, bro. Like, they need gang. Like, the officer got his knee inside his knee, no diddy. Like, feel me? That's he's comfortable right now, bro. He's telling his whole life from day one how it started. How you get into the gang? Like, oh my God, bro. This is sad.
Member on gun trafficking and possession charges. His name was never made public, leading many to speculate that he was a high-ranking member who decided to turn informant. Whether he was a snitch or not, what mattered was the evidence the police extracted from his smartphone. The phone was a goldmine. It contained photos of women flaunting guns and stacks of cash, text messages detailing cocaine transactions, and call logs and contacts, leading police to the biggest names in the Dixon Bloods. With this intel, law enforcement identified 11 key figures, the shot callers who police say were running the show. Among them were Libin Syed, Ahmed Diri, Manir Qasim, Abdullahi Haroon, Anthony Smith, Mohammed Khattak, and Mohammed Syed. This was the break police needed. On March 18, 2013, they convinced a judge to grant permission to tap the phones of all 8 Dixon Bloods. This brings us to February 17, 2013, 1 month before Toronto police obtained the wiretaps. At 15 Windsor Drive, a bungalow just a stone's throw away from the Dixon Towers, a social gathering was in full swing. It was a typical Dixon Blood gathering, booze flowed freely, women were everywhere, and crack cocaine was being passed around like party favors. But this wasn't just any gathering. Among the revelers was the mayor of Toronto, Rob Ford. One of the attendees, Mohammed Syed, aka Gotti, had the foresight to capture the moment. Under the dim glow of the house lights, he pulled out his phone and recorded a video of the mayor smoking crack cocaine with the Bloods. Slurring.
See, he did that. He recorded him. Just like, let me keep that in my pocket just in case we need that for something. Feel me? But not knowing, nigga, when you blackball somebody, it's still a crime, motherfucker. But at least we know what the mayor doing, though. Feel me? At least we know.
During his words, Ford rambled incoherently.
I said blackball, my fault. I said blackmail. My fault. If I said blackball, I'm my fault. Blackmail. Feel me? You can't blackmail somebody. My fault, y'all.
Gang member cocaine with the Bloods. Slurring his words, Ford rambled incoherently while the gang members laughed and partied around him.
You're right wing?
No, they say I'm just right wing.
Oh, yeah.
Radical guy.
Sure,
yeah, I'm
sure.
sort of.
Sure. Oh, yeah. No.
He got the talk, too.
At first, Gotti kept the video to himself. He knew what he had, a ticking time bomb, something that could either make him rich or dead.
Or even catch a...
This nigga got a big-ass head, bro.
But just a few weeks later, everything changed. On March 28, 2013, Rondo was gunned down after an altercation with rapper Flippa and a Project Originals member named Panda. Mohammed Khattak, Rondo's childhood friend, was also injured in the shootout. This wasn't just another gang killing, it was the spark that ignited a scandal. As previously mentioned, Rondo and Khattak were 2 of the 8 Dixon Bloods under police wiretap, so when investigators reviewed Khattak's tapped phone calls before and after the shooting, they uncovered something disturbing. The Dixon Bloods were gearing up for war. The calls revealed that members of the gang were stockpiling firearms, arranging shipments from Michigan to Windsor, and preparing to flood Dixon with guns. The Bloods were planning to avenge Rondo's death in
Is he cross-eyed? He look a little cross-eyed.
full force. Gotti got wind of the brewing war and he wanted no part of it. Luckily for him, he had a way out. The crack video. 4 days after the murder of Rondo, on April 1st, 2013, Toronto Star reporter Robin Doolittle received a call that would change everything. On the other end of the line was a man named Mohammed Farah, aka the broker, who claimed to have access to a video of Toronto Mayor Rob Ford smoking crack cocaine. Farah, acting as a middleman, provided Doolittle and her editors with proof, a photo of 3 Dixon Bloods posing with the mayor in front of the Windsor Road trap house. The men in the picture were Rondo, Manir Kasim.
Like, what made him take this photo, though? Like, he probably was off the drugs heavy, though. But, like, why would you take this photo, bro?
And Mohammed Katak. According to Farah, he was brokering the deal for Gotti, who was in fear for his life.
Like, my fault. But he's supposed to take the drugs and go home. Like, go do it off his wife, go do the drugs off his wife or some shit, off a stripper or whatever, prostitute, whatever. But he's supposed to get up out of there. He's not supposed to be chilling with these niggas, man.
Road trap house. The men in the picture were Rondo, Manir Kasim, and Mohammed Katak. According to Farah, he was brokering the deal for Gotti, who was in fear for his life. With Rondo dead and the neighborhood heating up, he wanted the first flight out of Dixon City. His ticket? $100,000 for the crack video. If he could sell it, he could start over somewhere far away from Dixon. Doolittle and her team at the Toronto Star wanted the tape, but something went wrong. Farah stopped responding to calls, and it wasn't because he had given up. He had taken the video to someone else. Instead of dealing with the Toronto...
He backdoored him? Oh, man, he backdoored him.
Because he had given up. He had taken the video to someone else. Instead of dealing with the Toronto Star, Farah approached John Cook, the editor of Gawker, a New York-based media outlet known for its explosive headlines. John flew to Toronto and was personally shown the footage of the crack video. This was no rumor, it was real, and Gawker was ready to pay up. They managed to raise $200,000 to purchase the video, but just like before, the deal collapsed. When Gawker reached out to Gotti himself, he claimed the video was gone and it was all a lie. But that wasn't true, the video still existed. It was stored on Gotti's phone, hidden inside a red pencil box in his apartment. But Gotti wasn't about to hand it over. He was caught in a dangerous game. Word had spread that he had the tape. In Dixon, that wasn't just bad news, it was a death sentence. Anyone could come after him. The Bloods, the police, even the mayor's people. If the wrong person got to him first, he wouldn't live to see the payout. Meanwhile, Rob Ford was making headlines.
Nigga, go get that 200 and get the fuck up out of there. Yeah, feel me? Get that 200 and get the fuck up out of there, bro. Go in that red pencil box. Give this nigga what he got. Give him the phone. Delete everything. Give him the phone and get the fuck up out of there, bro. Get up out of there.
Got to him first, he wouldn't live to see the payout. Meanwhile, Rob Ford was making headlines, but not for the video. Well, not yet at least. Instead, the world was unknowingly watching his substance addiction take a toll on him in real time.
See, and then that's fucked up. What's One Love? Isn't that Bob Marley? Nigga, that's fucked up, bro. Niggas don't know not one song, one lyric of that. That's fucked up. That's fucked up.
A toll on him in real time.
And as he rushes around to confront the member of the public, he knocks over Councillor Pam McConnell, holding on to her before she hits the floor.
Olivia Gondak, it says that I wanted to eat her Olivia Gondak. I've never said that in my life to her. I would never do that. I'm happily married. I've got more than enough to eat at home.
Okay.
Drunken outbursts, slurred speeches, strange disappearances. It was clear something was wrong with the mayor of Toronto, but no one knew just how deep the scandal would go. By April 2013, the mayor had become a regular at the 15 Windsor Trap House, a hub for Dixon Bloods. It wasn't just about illicit meetings or casual dealings. Ford was deeply involved, smoking crack, using heroin, and likely putting his life and career at risk by mingling with the very gang that had been under intense investigation.
That's what I'm saying, that's B. That's what I'm saying. First of all, I would have never told the little white girl, the first little white girl, to air it out. We would have kept it on the hush. You feel me? We would have kept it on the hush. You feel me? Never mind, I ain't gonna say what I was gonna say. But we would have told her to just keep it on the hush, right? And then, boom, bro worked out another deal for another 100. We would have told him, like, yo, be quiet. We would have never aired it out that we got the footage, you feel me? And then, made the deal, got the fuck up out of it. Nigga, you talking too much, my boy. And your mans, he's talking a little too much too. Why the fuck would what the shit say? He went on a news station or some shit and said this shit? Bugging the fuck out, bro. He's bugging.
A trap house, a hub for Dixon Bloods. It wasn't just about illicit meetings
Rest in
or
peace,
casual
dog.
dealings. Ford was deeply involved, smoking crack, using heroin, and likely putting his life and career at risk by mingling with the very gang that had been under intense investigation for months. The toll was evident. Ford's erratic behavior and decline in public appearances were becoming harder to ignore. But it wasn't just his professional life at stake. His personal demons were being played out behind closed doors in the most dangerous circles of Toronto's underworld. On April 20th, 2013, at 12:52 a.m., police wiretaps revealed an incoming call from Gully, a now high-ranking member of the Dixon Bloods. The call was coming from the trap house. The conversation was with Elena Basso, also known as Princess, the owner of the residence. Princess informed Gully that Ford and his friend Sandro Lisi were at the house looking to score some drugs. Gully agreed to come over.
What?
Hello?
Hello? Yes.
Yeah, what's going on?
He's here.
Oh, shit.
He's here.
See? Bro, off, bro. She already answered the question already. The third line. Hello? Yes. Yes. Alright, boom, on the way. Look, she's saying too much. Yeah, he's here. He's here. Who? Come on, bro. Get it together. Like, I knew that old lady was on point off the picture. Look at the picture, bro. You could tell she hiding some shit, gang. You feel me? You could tell she hiding some shit. She really down, gang. And her name Princess. She been doing this since a young age, gang. Feel me? This nigga right here is slow.
Come over.
Come on.
What?
Look.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, what's going on?
He's here.
Who?
He's here.
Who this?
Rob.
Who?
Rob Ford.
Moments later,
Inside
Abdullahi
the last
Haroon,
name, too.
another well-known member of the gang, called Gully, reiterating the need for him to deliver the drugs to the mayor and his friend.
Yeah, go to Princess's crib. Rob Ford wants some chocolate.
Hours
it's
later,
over.
after Gully had met with
It's over.
Ford, he called Haroon back,
It's over.
detailed.
These niggas are saying first and last name, but they ain't even give the boy a nickname. They ain't even give it. I would have called him RF. You feel me? Something like Robbie. You something. Y'all niggas calling this nigga by his government, bro. Holy.
Other well-known member of the gang,
Holy.
called Gully, reiterating the need for him to deliver the
Let's get to
drugs
it,
to
let's
the
get to
mayor
it.
and his friend.
Yeah, go to Princess's crib. Rob Ford wants some chocolate.
Hours later, after Gully had met with Ford, he called Haroon back, detailing the encounter. Haroon mentioned that Ford has previously gotten super high on heroin and had been photographed while using the drug. Haroon also told Gully to keep any pictures of Ford, as they'd be valuable, both as leverage and for the street credibility they could provide the gang. The photographs, now a currency of power, would be used to further bind Ford to their world. But the scandal didn't end with photos. Several hours later, Sandro Lisi called Gully, inquiring about Ford's missing phone, a phone that had been swiped by Juice Man, an acquaintance of Gully's, during the chaotic night at the trap house.
Yeah, you met me yesterday, bro. You were drinking tequila with me.
Yeah, what's good?
What's up, bro? You guys grabbed the mayor's phone last night.
No.
Sound like police, bro. That sounds like police. Appreciate you, gang. Appreciate you. It sounds like police, man. Sounds like police.
What's up, bro? You guys grabbed the mayor's phone last night.
No.
Yeah?
Honest to God, I never took no phone.
Well, you or your boy grabbed the phone, bro. We need it back.
I never took no phone, honest to God.
Okay, we gotta figure this out, bro. Rob's freaking out. He needs his phone. You gotta call your boy right now and you gotta get that phone back, okay, bro?
Alright, give me a little bit. I'm gonna come back.
Bro, we need that phone ASAP, eh? This is the mayor we're talking about, eh?
I know. Give me a little bit.
Bro, he can put heat on all of Dixon if things don't go the way they're supposed to go today. You know that, right?
This is the exact
They had
moment
that
when
nigga walking
Toronto's
up the
police
steps
force
and all
realized
that
the mayor
shit, man.
wasn't just a casual bystander in the
hood.
city's underworld. He was an active participant. To diffuse the tension surrounding the missing phone, Gully and Juice Man decided to meet with Sandro Lizzi at 41 Blackfriar Avenue. In this face-to-face encounter, they handed over Ford's phone in exchange for an undisclosed amount of weed. This arrangement seemed to
Nah, bro. Tell the Toronto, you gotta do your research, gang. They ain't do that. They said the deal was 200,000. It wasn't no weed. I don't want no weed. I don't want to have to go sell it to go make the money back. No. No. Tails. That's not Tails. No, you're not gonna tell me that the niggas did that. Nah. Not for Robbie's video. Nah. Fuck that.
Sandro Lizzi at 41 Blackfriar Avenue. In this face-to-face encounter, they handed over Ford's phone in exchange for an undisclosed amount of weed. This arrangement seemed to smooth things over. No more animosity, no more tension. Everything was now all good for the Dixon Bloods and Rob.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with new developments about Toronto's mayor.
There's a cell phone video that shows the mayor allegedly smoking a crack pipe.
What?
And using expletives. The video is reportedly being shopped around by a group of Somali men involved.
Yeah, don't fuck around, nigga. They come wrap your ass up, nigga. You come out that little studio, nigga. Better stop playing around.
Being shopped around by a group of Somali men involved in the drug.
Wow. There are reports a video exists allegedly showing someone who resembles the mayor smoking what looks like to be crack cocaine.
They say in broad daylight, essentially, here is the mayor smoking crack cocaine with a pipe.
On May 16, 2013, the world learned of Rob Ford's crack scandal. As news outlets scrambled to report on the breaking story, wiretaps caught the moment several Dixon Bloods discovered the shocking revelation.
Yo, nigga, bro, go to TorontoStar.com.
I can't. I don't have no internet. Why?
You heard about that?
No, what happened?
It says that there's Somali drug dealers shopping around a video of the mayor.
Shut the f*** up.
Meanwhile, Sandro Lizzi, Ford's friend and associate, was making countless calls to members of the Dixon Bloods, issuing chilling threats. He promised to flood Dixon City with cops, unless the gang could figure out who recorded the video and where it was being kept.
Hello? Yo, Kim. Yeah, who this? The guy from that day, remember? The phone? Hey, listen, if you can get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, I'm hanging up. I'm hanging up. The guy from that thing, you remember the phone? Beep. I don't know what the fuck you talking about, my nigga. You bugging the fuck out.
Hello? Yo, Kim. Yeah, who this? The guy from that day, remember? The phone? Hey, listen, if you can get to the bottom of it, see what you can do. Yeah, I'm not even in the video. Somebody's trying to put on a video, bro. Somebody's trying to put on a video? Of what? Yeah. Of him. Huh? Of what? Of him. If the video gets leaked, bro, I'm gonna beat up Dixon's ass like this, back and up and down these streets of cops you get done for. Well, like, who said that? The military cop guy.
Yeah, and the Rob Ford's driver's calling Juice Man saying you're dead. So what? Well, like saying you're dead. Everybody in your block is dead.
Hello?
What the?
Well, like, who said that? The military cop guy.
Yeah, and the Rob Ford's driver's calling Juice Man saying you're dead. So what? Well, like saying you're dead. Everybody in your block is dead.
Hello? Yo, Tim, you see the heat, bro? Huh? Who's this? You see the heat on Dixon, bro? What happened? It's gonna get worse, bro. Tell all your boys it's gonna get worse and worse.
Hey, I'm not involved, buddy. I'm not involved in this.
I'm just telling you, tell your boys the message, eh? The whole place is gonna get heated up.
Listen, nonsense.
Wait, he was just on this shit talking about they about to leak the video. Why he so hostile now? Hold on, my boy got angry real quick.
See the heat on Dixon, bro? What happened? It's gonna get worse, bro. Tell all your boys it's gonna get worse and worse.
Hey, I'm not involved, buddy. I'm not involved in this.
I'm just telling you, tell your boys the message, eh? The whole place is gonna get heated up.
Oh, some nigga. Help, nigga.
The whole place is gonna get lit up.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not involved in it.
Bro, I'm just telling you, put the message out to your people.
Yeah. Don't worry. Alright.
That's a. He basically telling these niggas get the fuck up out of there now. Like, get the fuck up out of there now. Like, tell everybody now that these niggas is coming now, bro. Gotta go.
Don't worry about it. It's all good.
It didn't take long for them to figure out Gotti was the one responsible for recording the video, but he was now trying to play it down. In the meantime, Ford was keeping his distance from the public eye, but the pressure was mounting. On May 17th, Ford appeared in front of cameras for the first time since the scandal broke, looking disheveled and clearly overwhelmed. Off to the side of the cameras, David Price, a staffer of Ford's, received a call from an unknown source, providing details about the drug dealers who allegedly had the video. The caller gave the names Gotti and D, as well as phone numbers and the address, 320 Dixon Road, 17th floor. 4 days later, on May 21st, 2013, Abdullahi Haroon and Abdulkadir Bihi were shot on the 17th floor of 320 Dixon Road. That very same day, an unknown male stormed into the 15 Windsor Road trap house and assaulted Fabio Basso, the son of Princess. Though Fabio spoke with...
Whoa. Wow. Robbie not playing. Remember when Robbie went to go pick up that Chico? Feel me? He probably seen the son or he remembered the address. Yo, go over there too. Go check them out too. You feel me? Oh man. Robbie going crazy right now?
That very same day, an unknown male stormed into the 15 Windsor Road trap house and assaulted Fabio Basso, the son of Princess. Though Fabio spoke with police, he refused to give details on the identity of his attacker or the motive for the assault. The violence was reaching new extremes, and the gang was beginning to understand the severity of their predicament. On May 26th, Rob Ford held his first press conference to address the ongoing scandal.
I do not use crack cocaine, nor am I an addict of crack cocaine.
When asked about the video, the mayor firmly denied it, as did his public relations team. But despite Ford's denials, Toronto police already knew the truth. This marked the beginning of...
Look, you can tell the difference. Look. You see his tie? Not doing crack. See his tie? Look at his tie.
6th, Rob Ford held...
Look, open, crack. You see? It's the difference. It's the difference. Crack, look.
His first press conference to address the ongoing scandal.
I do not use crack cocaine, nor am I an addict of crack cocaine.
When asked about the video, the mayor firmly denied it, as did his public relations team. But despite Ford's denials, Toronto police already knew the truth. This marked the beginning of Project Brazen 2, an operation focused on investigating both the mayor and his close associate, Sandro Lisi, who was deeply entangled with the Dixon Bloods. While City Hall was up in flames, Dixon City became increasingly volatile. The Dixon Bloods knew that Gotti was responsible for the video, and they were angry. Gully, a prominent figure in the gang, called Gotti, demanding that he fix the situation. But Gotti continued to deny having the video, claiming everyone was overreacting.
The man is gonna bring feds to my house, bro. I don't want that to happen, bro. The man knows my gun. He knows everything about me. Me too, you dickhead, but there's no video. These guys are not gonna get no video over the pen.
Gully knew Gotti was lying, and so did the rest of the Dixon Bloods, so they began plotting to force him to come clean and put an end to the chaos. On May 29th, Gotti was kidnapped by Syed Abdi and Ahmed Farah, the brother of the broker. The two men interrogated him, pressing him about the video. The pressure was too much for Gotti to handle. He broke down, claiming that he had destroyed the video and that his family was in danger because of it. Syed Abdi then warned Gotti that if he was seen in Dixon, he would be killed. After about an hour of captivity.
Isn't it the same? The broker, you were supposed to break bread with him, feel me? Now, the broker, he got greedy. Now he sent his brother and his mans to come kidnap you. Actually, for the niggas is greedy, right? Am I wrong? The broker was the nigga who's supposed to break bread with him, right? Go find the nigga who to go post it to the news people, right? Holy.
Destroyed the video and that his family was in danger because of it.
Like
Syed Abdi then warned Gotti that if he was seen in Dixon, he would be killed. After about an hour of captivity, Gotti was released, but the chaos in Dixon City was just beginning.
Welcome to CBC News Toronto. I'm Dwight Drummond.
I'm Anne-Marie Medawake. A street gang on the brink of extinction.
That's what Toronto police hope is the case with the Dixon Bloods. More than 24 alleged gang members were rounded up in yesterday's raid.
All he told me was it's not only your unit, it's the whole building, and this is happening because of Rob Ford.
On June 13, 2013, Project Traveler reached its explosive climax. Toronto police executed a series of coordinated raids across Dixon and Windsor, targeting key members of the Dixon Bloods. During the operation, police seized 40 firearms, $572,000 in cash, $3 million worth of drugs, and made approximately 60 arrests. Notable arrests include Gotti, Gully, The Broker, Mohammed Katek, Abdulkadir Bihi, Manir Qasim, and Abdullahi Haroon. One of the key pieces of evidence seized during the operation was Gotti's laptop, which contained the infamous crack video. This marked one of the largest gang takedowns.
Look, now they don't got no money, bro. What they had, weed? Come on, bro. If you would have kept it on the hush, you would have at least had 100. You would have been back at home, feel me, in your country. You could have slayed low, built up a nice property or some shit, because you know they had it for the low. You could have built some shit in the low for 100. Could have built some shit probably for like 10 or less, bro. Oh, God. Now you in jail, bro. Look at you. Sick.
Abdullahi Haroon. One of the key pieces of evidence seized during the operation was Gotti's laptop, which contained the infamous crack video. This marked one of the largest gang takedowns in Toronto's history, effectively crippling the Dixon Bloods operations and signaling the end of their reign of terror over the area. A few months later, and
but in me though, like if I was in that predicament, I would have told the guys, like, yo, I got the video. You feel me? I would have never hid the video from the guys. Like, I'd have been like, yo, I got the video, gang. Like, so, if anything, like, we could use this shit against him. Like, we would have thrown some shit together. Like, I would have never did that shit. For me, everybody would have knew I would have had that video. We would have seen it. I would have recorded. I would have had the flash in that nigga face. You feel me? Recording that shit.
And signaling the end of their reign of terror over the area. A few months later, in October 2013, Toronto Police Chief Bill Blair announced to the public that they had recovered a copy of the crack video. He also confirmed that Sandro Lisi was facing extortion charges for threatening several members of the Dixon Bloods over the video.
I have been advised that we are now in possession of a recovered digital video file relevant to the investigations that have been conducted. They have this morning taken into custody Mr. Sandro Lisi and laid a charge of extortion with respect to the evidence that has been collected.
On November 5th, 2013, after months of denial and evasion, Rob Ford finally admitted to smoking crack cocaine about a year earlier while in one of his drunken stupors. He claimed that he was not an addict and insisted that he had no memory of the video, adding that he had never lied about its existence. Ford explained that reporters hadn't asked him the right questions, which is why he had previously denied the video's existence.
You asked me a couple questions, and what were those questions?
Do you smoke crack cocaine?
Exactly.
Let's get right to the fucking point.
Yes, I have smoked crack cocaine.
When,
but
sir?
no, do I? Am I an addict? No.
When have you
I
smoked
tried
crack
it? Probably in one of my drunken stupors, probably approximately about a year ago. I answered your question. You asked the question properly, I'll answer it.
The fallout from Ford's admission was swift and severe. It only fueled the already heated public debate about his fitness for office.
Yeah, right. What about Apollo Beauty? Answer the question. Answer one of the million questions people have for you. I don't want his card. I know what this guy's all about. Answer the questions. People have a million questions about your lying, your corruption. You're a corrupt, lying, racist, homophobe. Answer the people.
He can't be racist, though. That's one thing I can't agree with you. My boy was in the picture. He was happy, bro. One thing, he might not be racist. I can't agree with that one. I don't know about that one, my boy. And put on the shirt. Nobody wants to see all that shit, bro. Put on the shirt.
Answer the questions. People have a million questions about your lying, your corruption. You're a corrupt, lying, racist, homophobe. Answer the people's questions.
Meanwhile, the Dixon Bloods were left reeling from the combined pressure of the police takedown and the scandal that had brought them into the spotlight. Their connections to Ford were now public knowledge, and their ability to operate with impunity in Dixon City had been shattered. The events surrounding Project Traveler, the crack video, and the subsequent police investigations exposed the ties between Toronto's criminal underworld and its political elite. leaving a lasting impact on the city. In 2015, trial for several high-profile figures arrested during Project Traveler began. Ahmed Abdullahi, one of the leaders of the Dixon Bloods, was sentenced to 12 years in prison, while Nemo Warsame, a courier, received 6 years for gun trafficking and gang crimes.
She was the recruiter. She was definitely the recruiter. She was getting everybody.
These were high-risk crimes to facilitate more high-risk crimes, Judge Brian Trafford said as he sentenced the two Dixon Bloods. Both must serve half their prison terms before they can apply for parole. Then on July 21, 2015, Gotti pleaded guilty to 5 charges, admitting his involvement with the Dixon City Bloods and his role in trafficking guns and drugs. For his involvement, Gotti was sentenced to 8 years in prison. Meanwhile, Gully received a 5-year prison sentence for his actions. Other members of the gang, including Mohammed Khattak and Manir Qasim, saw lighter sentences. Both men were handed a suspended sentence and...
What was his actions? What was his actions, though? Imagine going to jail for 5 years for actions. Like, what was the action? What did you do?
Year prison sentence for his actions. Other members of the gang, including Mohammed Khattak and Manir Qasim, saw lighter sentences. Both men were handed a suspended sentence and placed on 3 years probation. The case also saw some unexpected developments. The broker had all charges withdrawn, despite facing 5 charges, including possession of proceeds of crime.
Why his all charges is dropped? You was the one promoting this shit, gang. You was the one trying to get the money. Man, all charges dropped. How?
Withdrawn, despite facing 5 charges, including possession of proceeds of crime. Lastly, Sandro Lisi was cleared of all charges, despite his role in the events surrounding the crack video and extortion threats against multiple Dixon Bloods. The Rob Ford and Dixon Blood saga may have come to an official end in 2015 with the fallout from Project Traveler, but for the streets of Dixon City, the violence and power struggles were far from over. With the older members of the Dixon Bloods either incarcerated, deported, or deceased, a spot opened in the gun and drug trade within Toronto's underworld. This is when a new wave of Dixon gang members, known as the Double Up Gang, seized the opportunity to rise to prominence. Between two...
He low-key looked like top 5. He looks scared, bro. He looks scared right here. But this nigga right here low-key looks like top 5, no? And there's something going on with the eye combination right here. Like, it looks like one is, like, bigger than the other, but fuck it, though. Let's get it.
Known as the Double Up Gang, seized the opportunity to rise to prominence. Between 2013 and 2014, they made significant moves in the streets, even forming unexpected alliances with their old enemies, the Jamestown Crips. This unexpected alliance helped them assert some control over the city's illicit economy. However, by 2015, the situation in Dixon City began to take a dark turn. The Double Up Gang, now considered the older heads in the area, found themselves at odds with an even younger wave of Dixon youths who were eager to make their own mark in the world of crime. This internal power struggle, fueled by growing tensions and shifting alliances, ignited a decade-long war that saw gang members on both sides falling at an alarming rate. One by one, bodies dropped, and what was once a dominant force in Toronto's underworld slowly crumbled from the inside out.
It's more? Oh, yeah.
The new era of Dixon City violence officially kicked off on March 17, 2015, with the shooting of Ahmed Syed, aka Dicey. He was shot 3 times in the city violence officially kicked off on March 17, 2015, with the shooting of Ahmed Syed, aka Dicey. He was shot 3 times in the staircase of 2063 Islington Avenue, a high-rise well known for criminal activity. Despite being part of the younger generation of Dixon Bloods, he was well known due to his older brother, Gully. His shooting was believed to be retaliation for either a robbery he was involved in 2 months earlier or an armed home invasion a month prior. Either way, it seemed 20-year-old Dicey had made some serious enemies. Coincidentally, former Mayor Rob Ford was in the building at the time of the shooting and even tried speaking with Dicey, but Dicey refused to acknowledge him. I wonder why. In retaliation for the shooting...
Now, Robbie, what are you doing in the building at the time of the shooting, Robbie? Robbie, I thought we stopped. I thought you said it was just a drunk encounter, whatever you said it was. one of your drunk days. What are you doing in the building when a nigga is shooting? What do you do? Run me back.
It seemed 20-year-old Dicey had made some serious enemies. Coincidentally, former Mayor Rob Ford was in the building at the time of the shooting and even tried speaking with Dicey, but Dicey refused to acknowledge him. I wonder why. In retaliation for the shooting, several associates of Dicey began enacting a plan of revenge, which they carried out 5 hours later at the same building he was shot at. They gathered 6 members and went back to 2063 Islington Avenue to confront Malcolm Marfo, a man who they suspected was involved in the shooting of Dicey. The confrontation quickly escalated, with one of Dicey's associates pulling out a gun. Malcolm tried to get a hold of the weapon, but amidst the struggle, he was shot fatally. All 6 suspects then fled the scene. Shortly after clearing the first shooting, Toronto police returned back to 2063 Islington Avenue at 8:15 p.m. for reports of more gunfire. When officers arrived, they found 22-year-old Malcolm Marfo dead in a hallway. With the knowledge of the first shooting and who the victim was, it didn't take long for Toronto police to realize this was a gang-related altercation involving the Dixon Bloods. They began collecting footage from around the apartment building and were able to identify multiple people who they believed were involved in the murder of Malcolm.
I don't know his name. Damn, I don't know his name, but the guy that killed Malcolm, wasn't they friends? They was friends, right? But the person that killed Malcolm, he was mad at some shit. What was he mad at? I might be wrong. I might be wrong, though, but I think if this is the right person, right? The nigga that killed Malcolm, feel me, he was selling drugs or some shit out of the first floor. He lived in the first floor or some shit like that. He was selling drugs out that window or some shit like that. You feel me? And they raided his crib, though, but he felt like the person that set him up was close to him. You feel me? I might be wrong, though, but I feel like this is the same. I heard this shit before.
The Dixon Bloods. They began collecting footage from around the apartment building and were able to identify multiple people who they believed were involved in the murder of Malcolm. 1 month later, on April 2nd, 2015, with help from the Emergency Task Force, TAVIS, and 23 division officers, the homicide squad executed 8 search warrants in Dixon City. Libin Hussein, Mohammed Omar, Said Haji, Sharmark Farah, Ali Mohammed Issi, and a minor were arrested and charged with first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. They spent a year in custody until 5 of them had their charges withdrawn after one of the men, Said Haji, took the fall by pleading guilty to manslaughter. He was sentenced to 9 years in prison. As chaos erupted within the Dixon Towers, 3 brothers, born and bred in those very buildings, were carving their own path of destruction. Cam, Monopoly, and Santana grew up in Dixon alongside Kabil Abdul-Qadir, street name K2. K2 had hung out and played basketball with the Dearys growing up, but their relationship changed drastically after an incident in 2009. The relationship soured after the 2 older Deary brothers broke into K2's car and stole $500. They later beat him so bad, he was forced into hiding with a relative. In January 2010, the older Deary brothers again assaulted K2, this time in jail, calling him a snitch and blaming him for their incarceration. K2's mother said he told her he had armed himself because he feared the Dearys. Some relatives have even said they were approached to deliver threatening messages to K2. On more than one occasion, K2 told relatives that if he were to die, he would be killed by Monopoly. Fast forward to June 28, 2015.
They just called you a snitch, bro. They just whooped your ass for calling you a snitch. But at least, alright. You feel me? At least I died. This is the nigga who killed me. Okay, at least you helping the cops. Okay. But they whooping your ass because you keep telling.
K2. On more than one occasion, K2 told relatives that if he were to die, he would be killed by Monopoly. Fast forward to June 28, 2015. Cam and Bevy were killed by a Driftwood Crip named Wasi. I covered his story in detail in a separate video, so be sure to check that out. But shortly after Cam's death, rumors started spreading that K2 had set him up. Fearing for his safety, K2 fled to Somalia and returned 2 months later on August 9th, where he found himself in front of Monopoly inside a nightclub. According to police reports, K2 tried to make amends with Monopoly, but his former Dixon friend wasn't having it. He followed K2 outside of the club.
What did he say? May your brother rest in peace. I don't know how to say that though, but it's a phrase though. Oh, he was trying to say, But nigga, they saying that you sent them. You did that. Man, it's over for you, boy.
But his former Dixon friend wasn't having it. He followed K2 outside of the club and behind the Eaton Center, where he shot.
First of all, if a nigga whoop my ass outside of jail, you feel me? Then somehow in jail whoop my ass again. Then I meet him outside of the nightclub. We is not cool, nigga. You is not cool with this nigga, bro. I wouldn't even say nothing to this nigga, bro. Like, why would you? Just get away. Go. Protect yourself. Do something else, bro.
Police reports, K2 tried to make amends with Monopoly, but his former Dixon friend wasn't having it. He followed K2 outside of the club and behind the Eaton Center, where he shot him multiple times. K2 was killed at the scene, while Monopoly fled in a getaway car driven by his friend, Ayub Hirsi Ali.
Did he speak this to existence, though? Like, I felt like he spoke this to existence. Like, you told your family, like, if you died, this person did it, and this person really killed you. God damn, bro. See what happened when you talk too fucking much, bro? Next time, shut the fuck up. Like, rest in peace, though. But next time, shut up, bro, because you spoke this shit to existence, gang.
But his former Dixon friend wasn't having it. He followed K2 outside of the club and behind the Eaton Center, where he shot him multiple times. K2 was killed at the scene, while Monopoly fled in a getaway car driven by his friend, Ayub Hirsi Ali, a familiar face in Dixon City. Their freedom was short-lived, both were eventually caught, and 3 years later, Monopoly was sentenced to life in prison for first-degree murder, while Ayub received a 9-year sentence for manslaughter. By 2021, Ayub was back on the streets, but his time was limited. The following year, while attending the funeral of 27-year-old Gidit Mohammed, another Dixon community member tragically gunned down that summer, Ayub himself became a victim of gun violence. Notably, Gidit had no known gang affiliations, proving once again that in Dixon, bullets didn't always have a specific target. And as for Santana, the last remaining Deary brother, well, he was arrested back in 2018 after he was suspected of being one of 3 Dixon Bloods who went into Driftwood Crip territory and pelted 17 shots into a man at point-blank range. Although the man survived, he is still haunted by the fact that Santana was cleared of all charges and is now roaming the streets. The same couldn't be.
You gotta move, bro. Like you gotta move. Waking up every day knowing the nigga who what do you say, 30 times? Shot more than 30. And his feet on land, you gotta move, bro. Get the fuck up out of there, bro. Because next time it might be 60. You feel me? And God gave you another chance to live, feel me? Have a family, enjoy life. Get the fuck up out of there, bro. Get the fuck up out of there.
To a man at point-blank range. Although the man survived, he is still haunted by the fact that Santana was cleared of all charges and is now roaming the streets. The same couldn't be said about these next 2 people. Abdulkadir Bihi, street name Skrilla, is a former member of the Dixon Bloods who was arrested during Project Traveler. After his release, he began turning his life around. He had recently gotten married and was expecting his first child. But no matter how far he tried to distance himself from his past, it eventually caught up to him in the worst way possible. On October 5, 2017, shortly after 2:40 p.m., he was sitting alone in a Volkswagen Jetta in a parking lot behind 265 Dixon Road when he was approached by 2 people. 19-year-old Zain Chaudhry and 16-year-old Zachariah Ali, aka Shmoney. According to court documents, Chaudhry leaned into the driver's side window of Skrilla's vehicle, exchanged a few words, then shot him multiple times. Despite being severely injured, Skrilla made his way to the entrance of 263 Dixon, trying to find some help, but he didn't get far. He passed away at the entrance of the building. Meanwhile, Chaudhry and Shmoney ran away from the scene and took a taxi to Chaudhry's residence in Oakville. The 2 thought they were safe, but they were wrong. And what seemed like—
Wait, I don't want to fast forward anything, but did Shmoney die? Is that why the gang is now called Shmoney Gang? That's what y'all said at the time, right? Oh, Shmoney. Yeah, Shmoney. Did he die? Because it sounded like he was a wild boy before he left us. It sounded like he was wilding. Almost run his back. See, nigga say he said a few words to him, which I think was the few words though. The few words, and then he let off the 5 shots into his body, killing him. Which I think he was talking about though.
Despite being severely injured, Skrilla made his way to the entrance of 263 Dixon, trying to find some help, but he didn't get far. He passed away at the entrance of the building. Meanwhile, Chaudhry and Shmoney ran away from the scene and took a taxi to Chaudhry's residence in Oakville. The two thought they were safe, but they were wrong. In what seemed like an attempt to appear innocent, Shmoney showed up to Skrilla's funeral just 3 days later. After the service, he headed to Kingsview Village Junior Public School with two men, unaware that danger was lurking. As they arrived, a lone gunman ambushed them, opening fire. All three were hit, but only Shmoney didn't make it out alive. That same day, Chaudhry...
God damn it, boy. What is it, 24, 48, 72 fucking hours, boy. God damn. 72 hours, bro. You couldn't make it 72? Come on, son. Make it to the week, bro. You couldn't even fucking celebrate on Friday for the achievement that you did for the gang, bro. God damn.
His residence in Oakville. The two thought they were safe, but they were wrong. In what seemed like an attempt to appear innocent, Shmoney showed up to Skrilla's funeral just 3 days later. After the service, he headed to Kingsview Village Junior Public School with two men, unaware that danger was lurking. As they arrived, a lone gunman ambushed them, opening fire. All three were hit, but only Shmoney didn't make it out alive. That same day, Chaudhry surrendered to police, facing a first-degree murder charge. You'd think that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. Just 4 days later, on October 12th, as Shmoney's family was preparing to lay him to rest, they were also ambushed by a lone gunman who fired up to 5 shots, sending friends and family scrambling for cover. Fortunately, no one was hit. A heavy police presence outside the mosque before the funeral spoke volumes about the number of enemies Shmoney had made in his short 16 years of life. In his honor, the younger generation of Dixon Bloods rebranded themselves as Shugang, carrying his name into the next era of Dixon's street wars. One of the most notorious faces of the Shugang movement was Libin Hussein, better known on the streets as Ice or Chunky. From high-profile kidnappings to getting caught up in Project Traveler at just 18, Chunky's life was nothing short of chaotic. I won't go too deep into his full story, but if you're interested, you can check out my video on him linked in the description below. For now, let's focus on his impact on the streets and how his untimely death exposed just how grimy Shugang really is. On March 7th, 2024, at about 8:30 p.m.
Oh, no, we in 2025. My fault. It's so close to March, I forgot. My fault. Alright, so last year. This happened last year.
Focus on his impact on the streets and how his untimely death exposed just how grimy Shugang really is. On March 7th, 2024, at about 8:30 p.m., Toronto police were called to a condominium in the area of West Mall and Eva Road for a shooting. When officers arrived, they found Chunky suffering from gunshot wounds. According to police, multiple suspects approached him and shot him several times while he was sitting in his car in the parking lot of the condo. He was taken to hospital, where he later died. The 29-year-old was Toronto's 13th homicide victim of 2024. Chunky's run in the streets lasted 11 years. Some would argue that was 11 years too long. Over the years, he stacked up a long list of enemies, some even from his own crew. When news of his death broke, a few of them wasted no time celebrating on social media. Some posted pictures claiming they were hanging out with the person that killed Chunky, while others straight up mocked his death.
I'm super hot, that shit you put in the freezer.
If nothing else, their reactions made one thing clear: Chunky had been putting in serious work in the streets. But his death left more questions than answers. Why were people from his own block happy to see him gone? Was he backdoored? These suspicions only grew stronger when reports surfaced that Regent Park rapper Paperboy was kidnapped just 3 days after Chunky's death. In Toronto's rap scene,
Nigga tapped his chest, bro. Niggas tapped his chest, see if he was breathing good. I don't mean to laugh. I'm so sorry.
These suspicions only grew stronger when reports surfaced that Regent Park rapper Paperboy was kidnapped just 3 days after Chunky's death. In Toronto's rap scene, Paperboy is widely rumored to be the backdoor king, though none of these claims have ever been proven. But when news broke that Gully was a
backdoor king, I ain't gonna lie. They might have to get you out of here, bro. You're not good for company, gang. Backdoor king is crazy. Like, king is crazy.
Grew stronger when reports surfaced that
he was a slimy ass
Regent
nigga,
Park,
bro. We don't like snakes, gang. We gotta get snakes out of here, gang. Backdoor King is crazy.
Was he backdoored? These suspicions only grew stronger when reports surfaced that Regent Park rapper Paperboy was kidnapped just 3 days after Chunky's death. In Toronto's rap scene, Paperboy is widely rumored to be the backdoor king, though none of these claims have ever been proven. But when news broke that Gully was arrested for kidnapping on the same day Paperboy was taken, the rumors surrounding Chunky's death only got louder. Could Paperboy have played a role in setting him up? The streets were buzzing, but no concrete answers ever came. Bloodshed in Dixon was far from over. This is Muhammad Abdidwali, better known as Yodi.
His name is different. Cause I be fucking up trying to say these niggas' names, boy. Listen to this one. This one's tough.
Dixon was far from over. This is Muhammad Abdidwali, better known as Yodi, a well-known figure in Toronto's streets, especially among the Double Up gang. Yodi had a criminal record that spoke for itself. His run-ins with the law started in 2005 when he was just 14 and continued non-stop until 2011 when he was convicted as an adult for the first time. A year before that conviction, Yodi was shot in the leg while roaming around 75 Tandridge Crescent, home to the ruthless Tandridge Crips, a gang that had no love for anyone associated with Dixon. After that incident, Yodi started carrying a gun, fearing for his safety. That decision may have saved his life on February 9th, 2012, when he returned to 75 Tandridge, this time with 3 friends. They spent the evening drinking and smoking on a front porch with a girl who lived there. After a few hours, Yodi decided it was time to leave. He stepped inside to say his goodbyes. Not even 5 minutes later, gunshots rang out, 5 or 6 in quick succession. When he looked out the window, he saw one of his friends lying on the ground. He had been shot. Following the shooting, Yodi and 2 of his friends ran through a townhouse complex on Tandridge Crescent with firearms drawn looking for whoever may have shot their friend. Unfortunately for them, the cops were hot on their tail. Noticing this, Yodi and his friends threw their firearms into the backyard of one of the townhouses and surrendered. Yodi was sentenced to 5 years in jail for the incident. According to those close to him, when Yodi was released, he took serious steps to turn his life around. He reconnected with his faith, distanced himself from the streets, and embraced fatherhood, raising 2 children. By all accounts, he was doing well, staying out of trouble and focusing on a better
Please tell me they ain't killed a young man, bro. Please tell me they ain't killed a young man.
Future. But the streets never forget. On April 14, 2024, Toronto police officers had been called to the scene for the sound of gunshots at about 4:50 p.m. When officers arrived, they found 32-year-old Yodi with gunshot wounds and they tried to save his life, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The former Double Up gang member was the city's 21st homicide victim of the year. 3 months later, on July...
So March 7th, what was that, the 7th homicide of the year, right? April 14th, so what is that, a month and 7 days. Y'all niggas went up, what was it, 23?
Member was the city's 21st homicide.
Where y'all went from 7 to 21. Y'all niggas went up 14 in a month. God damn. God damn. Y'all niggas need to fucking relax, bro. Relax. 14 in a month and 7 days. Relax, gang. Relax.
Pronounced dead at the scene. The former Double Up gang member was the city's 21st homicide victim of the year. 3 months later, on July 26th, 32-year-old Omar Mohammed, also known as 2 Milli, was arrested and charged with second-degree murder in relation to the death of Yodi. He is currently awaiting trial. Now, all that's really left of Dixon are the Sugang youngsters. With rappers like Sheenie and 24 Hours, Sugang has been making noise in Toronto's underground rap scene, but that doesn't mean they've left the streets behind completely. Unlike the older generation, Sugang cut ties with the Jamestown Crips and instead linked up with crews on the south side of Jane and Finch.
They know who make the good music. They said, nah, we see who hot on this side, gang. They know.
Left the streets behind.
HB is gang. HB
completely. Unlike the older generation, Sugang cut ties with the Jamestown.
Big hot. Oh no, never mind. He against them. Never mind. Oh, cause he's the Jamestown Crip. Okay, fuck everyone and everything in the town. Who signed the we gotta see who that is.
Crips and instead linked up with crews on the south side of Jane and Finch. Their link-up was put on full display when they were caught up in a brazen shootout in downtown Toronto. A full video covering the ordeal and everyone involved was made not too long ago. I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out.
Yo, did we ever see this? Did we see this? Let me check.
But for now, here's a quick rundown of what happened. On November 11th, 2024, at around 11:20 p.m., plainclothes officers were in the area of 1196 Queen Street West, conducting an investigation. 3 individuals arrived in a stolen vehicle, got out, and started firing numerous rounds at the back of a recording studio where a birthday party was underway. People inside the building returned fire through the back door, forcing the original shooters to take cover behind an unmarked police car. Inside that car were 2 officers, and it was struck multiple times by gunfire. The chaotic scene, where over 100 shots were fired, was caught on camera. Miraculously, no one was injured, but the fallout was massive. Police arrested 37 people and laid over 100 charges. Among those taken into custody were 00 and 26, both members of the Should Drive Bloods. 2 months after that ordeal, the crew took yet another hit after Sheeny was arrested on firearm charges. He is currently awaiting trial. And just like that, after 3 different generations and 20 years of bloodshed, the Dixon Bloods are borderline extinct. The once feared gang that ruled the streets of Toronto.
Yo, gang, before this one end, we gonna rock out for like another 30 minutes. Feel me? Drop some tunes, or if y'all got another doc or some shit, put it in the comments, you know what I mean? Let's get it real quick.
Has been torn apart by law enforcement crackdowns, internal betrayals, and generational shifts. The streets that raised them have become quieter, and as of the making of this video, Dixon hasn't seen a single case of gun violence. But the brutality of the Dixon Blood still lingers, serving as a grim reminder that the streets of Toronto will never forget.
My mantra is that every next level.
Hold on, that's the end of it. Nah, this is spooky, gang. I ain't even gonna lie, that shit is spooky. Shit is spooky, bro. You don't know if you could trust your man. You still gotta worry about the ops, then the police. You feel me? You don't even know if you want to fall in love with a girl because she might set you up. It's dangerous out there, gang. I'm gonna keep staying inside, go to work. You feel me? Once in a while, chop it up with y'all. Y'all feel me? It's dangerous out there, gang. Be safe. What y'all want to do, though? Feel me? What y'all want to do? What's the word? What y'all want to do? Alright, bet. Let's see. Oh, man, YouTube. Don't cut off, gang. Don't cut off. Let's get it, though. Okay, we going 8 years ago? What's this?